In this video, we'll be demonstrating how to navigate to your employee portal where you'll be able to complete your new hire tasks as well as complete your new hire paperwork. So from your applicant portal, what you'll want to do is go to the top of the web page where there will be a highlighted message that'll congratulate you on your new position at the university and also provide you a link to your employee portal. By clicking on that link, it will take you to your employee portal, and on your employee portal off to the right you will have a task list that will consist of some items that will need to be done before your first day, on your first day, during your first week, first 30 days, so on and so forth. While it is important that you do complete them at some point, your work eligibility is not dependent upon the completion by the specified deadline. So if you do end up completing some items after the due date, it will not impact your work eligibility in any way. However, you will want to make sure that you do get them done as soon as you are able. One of the items on this task list that you will definitely want to make sure that you get done within your first week of employment is submitting the new employee documents packet. This is under the before your first day list, and by clicking on the link it'll pull up this pop-up window. You'll just want to go ahead and click the open button, and then from here you'll want to just go under the step 1 and select the link for the new hire packet, and then that'll pull up the paperwork, which the first page will look like this. And on the first page, this student payroll action request form, what you'll want to do is first in section B, you'll want to select the A98 box. By selecting this box, you are indicating that you are a new employee to the CSU. In section C, you'll want to go ahead and enter your social security number. And then in the box next to it, you'll want to go ahead and enter your last name. And then in the box right next to that, you'll want to include your first name and middle initial. If you have had a name change within the last year, you will want to include your formal name in section D, otherwise you can leave it blank. In section E, you'll want to go ahead and add your employee address, which isn't necessarily your residential address. This would just be any address that you would like to receive your taxing documents at, such as your W-2 form. And you can put just about any address into section E. There is only one address that can't be put into this section, and that is actually the university's address. And the reason why is because we are not legally allowed to accept your tax documents on your behalf. So if you do live at the dorms, I definitely recommend listing another address in section E. Otherwise, please reach out to HR if you have any questions or concerns. In section F, you'll want to go ahead and enter your birth date, and then in section G, this will be where you will select your taxing information. And so it's split up into 4 different boxes, and the first 2 boxes pertain to federal and state taxes respectively. And so during this portion, we will go step by step on how to complete each box. For the first box, federal withholding, what you will want to do is first indicate whether or not you are a non-resident alien by checking the box or leaving it blank. Then you'll want to indicate your marital status by selecting single, married, or head of household. And then you'll want to move to this higher withholding box. It may auto-populate with the letter Y for yes. However, you can change it to no if you'd like. What the higher withholding is asking is if you would like a higher amount of taxes taken out of your paycheck each month. And so this is a very personal choice and one that you can change later on as well if you would like to change it. However, you will want to select either yes or no, and then go ahead and move on to the claim dependence section. In the claim dependence section, it does ask for any dependents you are claiming. However, with how the form is set up, instead of asking for the just regular number of dependents, it's instead asking for the dollar value equivalent of those dependents. And so It can be a tricky number to get, but what you will want to do is use the equation that I will conveniently put into section E to reference to figure out what your dollar value equivalent will be for your dependents. So you'll want to use the following equation where for every dependent you have under 17, they'll be worth $2,000. I'll just use N17 as anyone under 17. And then you'll want to add that to the amount of dependents you have over 17 times 500. Then we'll just do N18 to represent that. And then once you use that lovely algebra formula together, you will get the dollar value that you'll want to enter into the claim dependence box. And I'll go ahead and leave this here just to give you some time to maybe pause the video, write it down really quick, and then we'll go ahead and move on. The next section right under the claim dependence box is other income. If you are earning any income outside of any jobs you work, you will want to list the annual amount of that income in this section right here. And then right below there, if you do have any deductions that you do want taken out of your paycheck for your taxes, you can list that here as well. And then this last box at the very bottom, exempt from federal withholding. This box is here in case you know for a 100% fact that you do not owe a single cent to the IRS. If you know that for a fact, you can actually go ahead and put exempt into this box and no federal taxes will be taken out of your paycheck. However, if you are not 100% certain of that fact, I definitely do recommend reaching out to a tax professional or someone you do trust in consulting tax information with and finding out if this is an applicable option or not. In the state allowances section, all you will have to do is indicate your marital status, being single or married, married with one income, or head of household. And then you'll want to enter into the regular allowances the same number of dependents that you used to get the dollar value to enter and claim dependents. So you don't have to enter in that dollar value again. Instead, you are just entering in the regular number of dependents. And then in the additional allowances box, you can leave this blank if you do not have any additional allowances. However, to define what additional allowances are, they are anyone who you are currently providing for that you do not usually provide for. So if you do have anyone like that that you are currently providing for, that isn't a regular dependent, you can add them into this additional allowance box. Alternatively, if you are interested in exemption from withholding, then section 3 will be the box for you. Exemption from withholding is an exemption from federal and state taxes, so you wouldn't have any taxes taken out of your paycheck if you were to select this option. All you have to do to claim exemption is just enter into this box exempt. And then that's it. One thing worth mentioning is that at the beginning of the following year, you will receive either a letter or email from the federal government basically asking if you're sure you still want to claim exemption, and to confirm that, you will have to submit a new employee action request form where you will have to resubmit the tax information either as the same or different. And then the last box, non-taxable wages. This is here in case you fall under one of the 3 criteria listed, being if you are a minister of a church, a non-resident alien, or collecting wages from a deceased employee, then those are non-taxable wages and would not be taxed. And so you could go ahead and check this box and then you would be set. And then one thing to note is that when you are filling this out, if you are going for exemption, this is the only box you will need to fill out. You won't have to fill out box 4, box 2, or box 1. Alternatively, if you did want to have taxes taken out of your paycheck, you will want to complete boxes 1 and 2 to some capacity. And then once you've completed section G, you will want to sign and date in section H. You will need to download the Adobe Sign tool from the same page that you downloaded the new hire paperwork from in order to create a signature that you can put onto the form. And then section I will be where an HR representative will sign the paperwork after they've reviewed all the documents. And then section J is a designee for state warrants. This is an optional field, so if you did not want to designate someone to be able to pick up your last paycheck, you can go ahead and put none or NA with the date. And I'll use today's date. So one of these two options. Otherwise, if you did want to enter someone, you would go ahead and enter in their first name and middle initial, last name, relation to yourself, and their address. And this can be updated later on, so if maybe you do add someone now and want to change it to someone else or to no one in the future, you absolutely can change it as well. Same with the taxing information. This is not a permanent set to your taxing preference. You can change your taxing preference or status as frequently and often as you'd like. So if you do submit your paperwork on the first day of employment, but then maybe a week from then you decide that you actually want to do something else, you can absolutely resubmit this form. And then the last bit on the student payroll action request form is section K, the oath of allegiance / declaration of permission to work. The part 1 of section K is for U.S. citizens. So if you are a U.S. citizen, you'll go ahead and just print your name in that part 1. Otherwise, if you're a lawful permanent resident non-citizen of the U.S., you'll go ahead and indicate either yes or no in part 2. And so now we'll go ahead and move on to the next form. This second page has instructions on how to complete the student payroll action request form if you would like to reference these as well. But the next form is the statement concerning your employment in a job not covered by Social Security form. A really long name for a form that is not too confusing, thankfully. This form is essentially stating that as a student assistant, you are not contributing to Social Security, and that as a result, you won't be able to claim Social Security from this specific position. And it's just an acknowledgement form, so all you'll have to do is enter your name on the employee name line, and then in the employee ID section, you'll go ahead and enter your student ID. Up until this point, I don't believe you've ever had this information shared in any capacity. This will be the first instance of anyone ever asking for your employee ID, so just as a heads up in the future, if anyone does ask for it, they are just referring to your student ID. And then in the employer name line, you'll want to go ahead and put CSU Stanislaus or CSUS, whichever you prefer, and then you can go ahead and leave the employer ID blank. And then at the bottom of the webpage, you'll want to go ahead and sign and date, and then you'll be all set with this form. And then the next and final form of the new hire paperwork is the direct deposit form. As a new employee, you'll only have to complete sections A, B, and C. And you'll want to go ahead in section A, click the new box, as this will be your first time completing the direct deposit form for CSU Stanislaus. And then in section A, you'll want to enter your Social Security number, and then you'll want to enter your last name, or full name, I should say. In section B, you'll want to go ahead and indicate which type of account you'll be depositing your paycheck into, be it a savings account or a checking account. And then you'll want to go ahead and in the routing number line, enter in the routing number for the account. And then you'll also want to enter in the depositing account number. And then right below there, you'll want to go ahead and enter in the name of your bank. And then you'll also want to put in the bank address. And this doesn't necessarily have to be the specific address that you go to for your bank. It can be any address that the bank is located at. And then finally in section C, you'll want to go ahead and check this box right next to the signature field. And what this box is having you claim or attest is that 100% of your paycheck is being deposited into a bank account that is under U.S. jurisdiction or law. And then you'll go ahead and just sign and date, and then you'll have completed your new hire paperwork. One thing worth mentioning with the direct deposit form is that it does take 30 to 90 days to fully process. So because of that, your first paycheck will guarantee to be a live paper check that will have to be picked up either in person or by mail. For more information about the mailing process, I definitely recommend reaching out to our payroll department. Otherwise, after that first 30 days and that first paycheck, from then on, it'll have the potential to become an electronic deposit, and then will guarantee to be an electronic deposit by the third or fourth paycheck. You can reach out to payroll to confirm the status of your direct deposit as well if you are interested too. But that is the entirety of the new hire paperwork. If you do have any questions or concerns, do feel free to reach out to HR.